Hello, I'm Anita. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a hair barrette with beads from my bead stash. I'll have links in the description box below that will apply to all the products used in today's tutorial. If you click more below this video, you can get all the details, including a link to my website. Alright, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to review the materials that you need for today. I'm using a 2-inch barrette. You can get these on Amazon. And I'm using 26 gauge wire. And I'm just using a mix of 11/0 seed beads from my stash. You can use 11/0s, 8/0s, really it's whatever you want to create. And you've got a lot of flexibility with this. For tools, you're going to need a pair of flat nose pliers, and I've got a skinny tip pliers here. And I have some nylon pliers to help me straighten my wire if I need to. And I also have a pair of wire cutters. So let me clear my area and we'll get started. The first thing that you want to do is you want to cut about 30 inches of your 26 gauge wire. And what I'm going to do is I have my barrette here, and I'm going to have this on the open side because that way it makes it easier to get around and through this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my wire through this hole, and I just want to wrap this around a couple of times. So I'm going to use my flat nose pliers to kind of get this through my loop a couple of times. Just pull that through. I'm going to squeeze that down a little like that. Now I'm going to bring this back through. It's kind of tricky getting it started, and sometimes you might need to use more than one pair of pliers to hold your work and push the wire through. Okay, so I have that through a couple of times. I'm going to go ahead and clip off this end. Let's move these beads out of the way. So now that I've done that, I'm ready to start loading my beads on my wire. And if you have a sharp edge here, just kind of squish that down. This is going to get covered up by some of your seed beads. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my other end and start feeding some beads on here. So I'm going to start with picking up about 4, and you want to pick up enough to cover the surface of your hair barrette. So depending what size that you're making will determine how many beads you need to pick up. And I'm using a very small hair barrette. This is like a 2-inch length, maybe a little over a 1/4 inch in diameter. So I've got 4 seed beads on my wire. So I'm just going to bring those down. I'm going to try to do this without hitting my microphone today, but it's kind of hard with the wire. The wire is going to be all over the place. So once you get those down, you want to just kind of position this along the corner here. And I just want to get this started. So I'm just going to anchor behind my fastener here like this. So I've come behind where my hair barrette clips to pull my wire tight just to get the beads started here on top. So now I'm going to pick up 4 more beads. Let's see if that will cover the top. And these are all 11/0 seed beads. It's not a Miyuki brand. This is just an off brand. So you can use some inexpensive beads to do this project and save your Miyukis for your bead weaving. So it really doesn't matter what type of beads you use. You can use Miyuki's or off-brand or Toho, it doesn't really matter. So I've got these 4 beads on here. So now I'm just going to come around like this, around the back side. And if they move around, that's okay. We're going to be doing a few layers here. So I'm just coming around. Try to get this at an angle. And then I'm going to come back under my hair barrette like this. So I just have 2 rows like this anchored so that I have something to hold on to. So now I'm going to start picking up some more beads. So I'm going to pick up about 4 and see how these sit on my barrette. So just feed those down. Now I'm going to come straight across, and I need 1 more bead. And I'm just picking these up in a random pattern. It doesn't really matter which way you go. I ended up picking up 5. So I've got these so that they're crossing over the top like that. And I'm going to come back behind and underneath like that. And the main objective here is just to cover the surface of this hair barrette. So now I'm going to pick up a few more and I'm going to crisscross to kind of cover this gap here. I'm going to pick up 6 seed beads. And now I just want to kind of cross over like this to kind of camouflage the metal. So now I'm going to come down underneath and behind this fastener. Now I'm going to come up right next to this last row I did right here. I'm going to pick up 4 more. Going to bring that down, lay that over on top, and then bring your wire back behind like that, nice tight as you can right next to that row like that. We're going to keep going, picking up 4 more, feeding that down. And I'm coming around behind and tight as you can right up to where we left off. So I'm going to pick up 4 more. And I want those to sit on top. So just kind of push them where they're on the edge. Feed them down your wire and then bring this behind. Now, as you can see, we're getting close to where the fastener here has an opening. So I'm going to go ahead and go on top of that and then come around. And my next round is going to go through these 2 pieces of metal. So I'm going to pick up 4 more. So I've got those right up against and try to make sure those sit on top. Now you might have an occasional bead randomly fall behind. It's no biggie, we can correct that later. But for now we're just going to see if we can get that to sit on top. So I'm going to try to hold that with my fingernail. And I'm going to bring the end of my wire in between these 2 pieces of metal. Right there. Just kind of gently pull that through and be careful with the wire. You don't want to poke yourself in the eye or anything. You might want to wear safety glasses the first time you make one of these, just to be careful. And just pull that gently. Try to keep your wire settled. And I'm going to use my flat nose to help pull this through, because you have to kind of twist it around to get it to cooperate, and just pull like that, nice and snug. So now I'm going to turn this up, grab the end of my wire, and we're going to repeat putting beads on. We'll do 4 more, and then I'm going to do the rest of these off camera. So there's 4 more beads, letting that filter down. And I'm going to, see, I got one of my beads that went behind there, so I'm going to kind of get them to come out. Bring this up and over. Now let your beads fall on top, like that. And now I'm going to just kind of pinch and hold this with my thumb to try to keep that bead from falling back there. Bring your wire back through these 2 pieces of metal. Be careful with the bounciness of the wire so you're not hurting yourself. And just gently pull. Now I'm going to use my pliers here to kind of help twist this around. Pull gently and pull. So I've got that through. Now I'm going to pull this nice and tight across the back and then up over to get it ready for my next round. So we're going to continue doing this, and I'm doing 4 beads covering the rest of the surface. And then when we get near the end, we'll take you to the next step. So as you're going through this and adding your beads, you'll be coming through the metal here. And then when you get to the end here, you'll start coming across the back. And then I'll show you the next step. Okay, here's what I have so far. As you can see, I have these all nice and lined up with my wire coming through between the metal here, and now I'm coming back to the end here, and I flipped this around to make it easier to hold. So I've just added 4 more 11/0 seed beads. Bringing this over like that, nice and tight, coming around the back side here. And I'm going to continue adding beads. Now that I've come to the end here, I'm getting really close to the end. I'm going to pick up 4 more beads. Now I'm going to bring these over this end piece as close to the edge as I can, like that. Now I'm going to bring my wire through this opening here so that I'm coming behind the hinge. Kind of awkward to do this. Just hold it the best you can. Pull this wire through. Try to get that bead back up there. Now I'm going to use my pliers to pull this through. Nice and tight. So now I'm going to bring my wire back around like this. And now I'm going to start doing a second layer, and I'm going to work my way back in this direction. So I'm going to pick up 7 or 8 of these because I'm going at an angle, and I'm going to be going through this opening here at the end. So let's see how many I need to make it across. I'm going to start with 7. And I'm just doing this all random. So I have 7 beads. I'm going to bring those down and see how far these can stretch across. So that looks about right. So notice that I have them at an angle. That's just to make this a random pattern. So I'm going to bring this across and behind. I'm going to go back through the opening here. And if your beads fall behind like mine just did, we'll fix that in a minute. Kind of tricky trying to feed this through. So I can get a hold of that. There we go. I'm going to pull that through. There we go. So I've got that pulled nice and tight. And my beads have draped around. And that's okay. I've got a couple of them that are kind of sitting there on the side. So that's my objective, is I'm now going to be zigzagging back in the other direction. So I'm going to pick up a few more here. Let's start with 7. I'm going to feed those down. And I'm just going to cross over at an angle. That's just to embellish the top. And I'm just going to come behind and over like that. So I'm going to pick up a few more. I'm going to pick up 6 this time. And I'm just going to come over the top. The angle's not quite as wide, so I'm just coming over the top. And now I want to bring my wire through the 2 pieces of metal here. Pull that through. Nice and tight. So that'll seat those 6 beads right on top. And we're going to continue working backwards like this. So let me pick up one more set. I'm going to pick up 7. And I'm going to angle these over the top like that, just to give it a random pattern. And I'm going to do the same thing. Pull my wire through this opening. Nice and snug. So we're going to continue doing that all the way across till we get to the end, and then I'll show you how to wrap it up. So go ahead and continue, and I'll meet you at the end for the next step. Okay, I'm coming back to the other side here. Now, as you're doing these passes coming back the other direction, your counts can vary anywhere from 5, 6 to 7 beads, depending on the distance and how far your angle is coming across. So just do what looks best for you. And if you have any beads that fall behind the barrette, you can just use your skinny pliers to pull that up. And I'm going to go ahead and add 5 beads here. Bring that up. Try to get those to sit on top. Bring that behind. Like that. I'm going to pick up a few more. I'll try 6 and see how that goes. So I'm just bringing this over, kind of in between where that little hollow space was. And I'm going to bring that around like that. So from here, I'm going to fish my wire through this opening right here. And as you're finishing this off, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just bring your wire through wherever looks best to you. At this point, we're going to try to hide the ends here and wrap this up. And we'll tuck in our finished end somewhere where you can't see. And you really won't be able to tell where this barrette starts and ends. So I'm just going to pull this through. It's a little tricky getting that in here. especially when the wire has a bend in it. So just try to straighten it out to get it behind here. And I've got this pulled nice and tight. I'm going to bring this around like that. Now I'm going to just wrap this wire around one more time and try to get it to go under one of the other passes like that. And I'm going to push this down to try to get this underneath. And if you have a little bit of wire showing, it's not a big deal. So you can just kind of tuck it like that, bring it back around. I'm going to tuck one more under here. Just kind of push this over a little. Now I'm going to come around and I'm going to clip my wire right here. And I'm going to take this piece and just tuck it underneath this last loop here. So just take your pliers and try to push that end underneath this last loop. Like that. There you go. So let me clear my area and we'll look at our finished barrette. So here's our beautiful barrette, and I did a second one of these, so you've got a pair of barrettes here. Very beautiful. And you can do this pattern with anything in your bead stash. You can even add some random pearls or crystals in there. So you can get real creative making these barrettes. So this concludes today's tutorial. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and thank you for joining me today. There will be links in the description box below with all the products used in today's tutorial. I have a website where I sell my own jewelry. It's called Bead Creations by Anita-768558.square.site. There's a link to my website in the description box if you would like to check out my creations. Also, keep an eye out for periodic sales and some great deals. If you're not a subscriber, I hope that you do subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed and liked and commented on my videos. I really appreciate your return visits. So with all that said, and I hope that you have a wonderful week, happy beading, and see you next time, everyone.